We are here in Singapore once again, recording Let's Coffee in Bettr Barista. Let's Coffee is a collaboration between Yardstick Coffee and Daily Drink Magazine. And it's our effort to just kind of put a mic and record some of the discussions that we have in coffee. Because, we sit down, you and me will sit down and have dinner sometime, and we'll talk about the things that we're going to be talking about on the show. And we just figured, why don't we record it? Yeah. It's really that simple, and maybe it'll help someone. So if you are enjoying our show, please do click the thumbs up. If you're watching on YouTube, press the heart button. If you're watching on IGTV, please do leave a review or a comment. It does help us a lot. And those channels are, of course, at Yardstick Coffee, at Daily Drink Mag, and at Honeycomb Manila on YouTube. So
subscribe.
Yes, please subscribe. I'm here today with Shaun Ong of Bettr Barista.
Yo.
How are you doing?
Very good.
And maybe you can tell us, what is Bettr Barista? And what is Bettr Barista and what do you do here?
Yeah, so I'm the head trainer here. So Bettr Barista is a social enterprise. When it was started, the idea was to work with women who are a bit from a marginalized background, as well as youth at risk. So the idea was to provide coffee education, right? That's the mental education, but also to provide emotional training, right? So that when they land up in the job, they have the skill sets to be able to stay in the job and provide for their families and provide for themselves. So we've been at it for 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 8 years. When we started off, we were a lot smaller than this, right? And the team was a lot smaller. But over in the last 8 years, we have done work in the women's prison in Singapore.
Wow.
We have brought our equipment in. We have conducted short-term training over there. We've also gone into the boys' home and the girls' home. So the boys' home and the girls' home essentially is the children's prison. So it's where the underage kids go. So you don't really call it a prison. It's just a home, right?
Yes.
And we've also conducted training for the pre-boys' home and the post-boys' home. So the boys that come out and go into the hostels, right? And so that training is called the Holistic Training Program. It combines mental skills. In this case, it's coffee. It combines emotional training as well as physical training. So they come to us, they come to the academy, they train, and then we teach them. And then after that, we release them into their internship. And then while they are doing their internship, they come back every week for us to monitor, for us to work with them, talk to them, and see how they're doing at school, at the work, sorry. And then after that, it prolongs into a secondment. And this secondment can actually last for about 3 to 6 months. And the idea is that training is not enough, right? It's how they enter into the workforce and all the different triggers, and you have to work with them through that. So because of that, we are actually very grateful to our partners. The partners we choose to work with are people who are very patient, and they must have a passion to want to invest in these lives.
And when you say partner, you're talking about cafes? Or?
Yeah. So cafes will partner with us. We have quite a lot of people coming to us and saying, look, we'd like some of your people for internship, right? Firstly, because internship is cheaper than hiring people. But secondly, I think most people want to help. It's just that a lot of them are not aware of how much work it takes, right, to help rehabilitate. So that's essentially what we do. And then we select the partners, and then after that we send them there. And then of course that was how we started off. Now it's a bit different. Now we've grown, right? So in the old days, we used to know everybody. Nowadays I walk into the academy and then I see someone at the bar, I'm like, yeah, he's from maybe the roastery, or he's from the retail element. So nowadays, the holistic training program is run by the Bettr Group. So the Bettr Group head, runs the holistic training program, and the Bettr Group has a few departments or a few other companies that actually is profit driven. Right, we're a social enterprise, but we're still profit driven, right? So the academy is one of them. So we run classes with the SCA, we run the Singapore syllabus. The roastery does roasting, and does a lot of wholesale. The retail bars, that's our social franchise, right? So the idea is that when someone graduates from our program, they are able to own their own business.
Okay.
Right.
Under the Bettr brand.
Well, they can franchise it.
Okay.
They can but the idea is to be able to create an ecosystem where they can, in the long run their own business. So it seems a bit far-fetched in Singapore, because in Singapore the rental's high and everything, right? But this program was designed for other countries as well, right? Where it's a lot easier for people to just start up something, right, and to run their.
So are you taking people who came out of the kind of the Reformation system here and sending them to other countries so that they can set up there?
No,
Is that what you mean?
not yet. So everybody in Singapore, trained in Singapore, works in Singapore.
Okay.
You're already going to have a tough time, and the whole idea is to keep them in a job, right? So they have dependents, so they'll probably have to stay in Singapore to take care of them. But we are looking to basically, once the franchise works, we are looking to port it over to whatever country works for that franchise.
I think that's a very common misconception that people have about social enterprises. Like, people think that social enterprises are charities or just, ways to do good things. But what they are really are, the best ones are when you identify a social problem, you build a business around it to solve it, and the fundamentals on how things are funded and how profit is made and how people, how the societal ail is addressed, are all part of the business.
Yeah.
So in that case where you're working with, the boys' home, the girls' home, which is, kind of to the rest of the world, juvie, right?
Juvie.
Yeah, it's basically juvie,
Juvenile,
juvenile detention. In those cases, are you guys funded to do that? Is it done by the government, or is it part of the business where people who come here and take other classes are kind of supporting that as well?
Yeah. It's a class, right? So it's the class that we run here, and we say, look, this is what we do for coffee training. And then they approach vendors, and then we go in just like any other vendor, any other coffee school, any other restaurant that has the ability to teach coffee, and you submit your proposal, right? It's exactly the same. We don't get any special privileges because we are Bettr Barista. We are still a business, and that means we can go broke, right? And there are years where we don't know if we can make it, right? And no funding is going to come from somewhere just to save your butt, right? So you have to make sure that the business is profitable. So when we engaged the women's prison, we went in with an invitation and invitation to do a proposal, right? There were other people doing the proposals as well. So it really comes down to how they select based on your proposal, and it's a business. Yeah. So there's no extra funding or.
But the women's prison is paying for this service.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So just like how they would pay for another vendor, right? I would like to think that we got chosen because we have a track record of integrating our emotional and resilience mental techniques together with the coffee, which is what actually makes us a bit unique, right? Because we don't just do coffee. The priority is to teach you skill sets that keep you in a job or get you a job, right? And that means that weaving in to the coffee training, you have habits training. You are concerned about the seeding of habits and the formation of habits. You're concerned about scalability of technique. That means if I teach you a certain technique, can it scale across different machines? If you get a Lamazoko or Slayer, those steam ones are nice. If you get a not so good espresso machine, can you still steam milk and still function as a clean, reliable barista on those? So the techniques have to scale. And that's one of the things we take note of when we write our programs at the academy.